Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, welcome to Be My Guest. This is Jan Lewis. Today we have from Rhode Island, Etta Zasloff. And Etta is an author, but she's done many other things. We'll talk about that too. She has written a children's book, beginning with X's and O's, the evolution of the alphabet. Check this out. Probably if you'd zero in on this. Welcome Etta.
Thank you very much.
I met
Happy
Etta
to be here.
at the Rhode Island Authors Expo.
Yes.
Was that in November?
December 1st.
December 1st.
Yes.
And let me tell you, that was humongous. That
It was a great
even
event.
that was even bigger than the one I think maybe I've told you about. It's every July in Danversport, Mass. Mm-hmm. It's like in a fairy tale ballroom, but this, I mean, it was wall to wall. I mean, table to table to table. I couldn't stay as long as I usually do. I just got exhausted because I'm talking to all the authors, and I ran into Etta, and I saw her book, and I said, oh, I love children's books, but when I see especially one like this. Etta, tell us first of all what made you decide to write this book.
Well, it's a story that has been in my head since I was a young kindergarten teacher.
Yeah.
Over 40 years ago.
Yeah.
About going on 50 now.
She was 10 when she started, okay?
No. And I tried to publish it earlier and shopped it around to publishing houses in the 80s.
Yeah.
And of course they weren't interested in what I had, so I really got depressed. Those rejection letters are cruel.
That's why I say self-published.
Those rejection letters are really cruel.
They are.
And it takes a long time to get over them.
Yes.
So when I retired from teaching after 44 years, I decided, or I actually was helping a friend do some grant writing, and I was going back through some old files and ran onto that manuscript and sat down and read it and said, oh, I wonder if anyone has created this concept.
And how long ago was the manuscript originally? How long?
It started in the late 70s.
You'd never seen...
1978.
It could be right
started.
now. It's so up to date.
Okay, it's been updated. Okay, it also it's not the original story that I wrote.
Yeah.
I actually used to teach the alphabet in that order when I first started
So you were
teaching,
already
rather
on
than starting with A is for apple, B is for ball. We did some of that.
Yeah.
But when you really got down to it,
Yeah.
basically the kids knew the alphabetical, the ABC song.
Yeah.
That's what they knew, and they thought they knew the alphabet.
Yeah.
And you had to do something to disrupt their notion and zero in on each letter.
Well, your illustrator, Sam White. Gosh, I mean, how did you meet your illustrator?
Well, that came much later. I'll get to that.
Okay, because this guy is amazing.
Yes, he is amazing. I agree. So I used to teach the alphabet in that order, that concept of organizing the alphabet into straight letters, roundish letters, letters with humps, letters with bellies, which that did kind of, sear those beginning skills in their minds.
Yeah. What was it? First grade, Etta? Or
It was kindergarten.
okay, I don't
It was
remember.
back when kindergarten was I come from West Virginia originally.
Yeah.
And was teaching there, and I was one of the first kindergarten teachers ever in West Virginia
You
in
were?
public kindergarten. Yes.
Wow.
So that was 1971.
Yeah.
Was when it was, passed by the legislature, and so I was hired and put into a classroom with very few resources, and we didn't have, even in those days, available resources. There weren't catalogs filled with, you either had reading books, Dick and Jane, you had math books, and they didn't have that early childhood push for education. So I had to create stuff on my own. So that's how that became.
And that began in 1971. You were already creating this.
Yes.
Aha. You
Yes.
were way
But
ahead.
it lay dormant for 20, 30 years.
But you were way ahead of the game. You were now up back. Little did you know that in 2018, 2019, this would be out.
I didn't know that. If I hadn't absolutely come across it in a filing cabinet, the year I retired, 2014.
Yeah.
And pulled it out and reread it, sat down right there and read the whole thing through and laughed myself to death. And, it was so humorous.
Yes.
And I said, I'm going to research this and see if anybody's published anything similar. Yeah. There is a writing program, I can't remember what it's called now, that starts with the O's, the letter O, and it becomes C's and O. There is some kind of a writing program, but it doesn't have stories. It doesn't go with all this like this.
This is definitely geared to the child.
So every letter has a story, and then there's a whole big encompassing story. That's why I call it like the evolution of the alphabet.
Where did you go to college for your teacher's degree?
West Virginia University.
What brought you up here?
My children moved to Boston and settled there and started having children. And West Virginia is 12 hours away.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're flying or if you're driving.
I'm not a good traveler.
Yeah, well, it's not. I like to travel,
You do?
and I am a traveler, but it still was too far away to be a connected grandparent.
Yeah.
So we decided to move up here when the firstborn was about 1.
What did your own kids think of this book?
They had heard the stories, and when I was like writing it down, and they had heard it so much that even when I started doing it in retirement and really pulled it out and made the decision, set the date for publication. I'm doing this for my 70th birthday present to myself.
She's surprised that out of me when she's 70th birthday. I'm like, what?
And my kids were like, yeah. They had heard it so much that it wasn't,
Yeah.
But then once it came out, they went, wow, Mom, this is really great.
And their kids.
And my grandchildren had heard it.
Yeah.
So, and they actually helped me choose my illustrator.
They did?
Yes.
That's how you found him?
Well, I didn't find him through them. I actually, I knew that the illustrations were key to selling this concept.
Yeah.
I'm not an artist.
Yeah.
But I did have ideas about what I wanted to be portrayed.
Sure.
And that was one of the other reasons why I finally decided to self-publish, because then you have total control.
You do.
As opposed to many publishing companies or houses want you to just turn the manuscript over and let them choose the illustrator.
The cover, everything.
And I guess I just wanted to, if it was going to be mine, I wanted it to be mine.
Well, you hit the jackpot. You can't miss this book. By the way, it's going to be downstairs in the Upton Town Library, beginning with X's and O's, the evolution of the alphabet. We're talking with Etta Zasloff, and she is an author. And she is also going to share with us many other things she has done, too. By the way, before I forget, where have you been appearing? Anywhere for this? Or?
I've done a lot of appearances. I will do a school event.
Okay. How about the children's rooms at libraries?
I do some of that.
Yeah.
Some of that. I'm retired. I don't want to be a full-time promoter. Is that terrible? So I, mostly done events around my area in Rhode Island and in West Virginia.
You go down there for that?
Oh, yes, because I still have a lot of family who lives there.
Oh.
So I go back at least twice a year to West Virginia.
And you're in Hope Valley, Rhode Island.
Yes.
That was an hour-and-a-half trip for you up here today?
About an hour and a half.
But you said it was kind of pretty.
It's a beautiful drive.
Was it snowy?
It's lovely. It was snowing a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was okay.
Yeah, that's good. Because I was wondering, I hope she doesn't run into a storm down there.
Yeah.
I used to live in Providence and North Providence. But when I was living with my parents in the Cape, and I wanted to go back to Connecticut, way down near New York, I had to go through Hope Valley. Is it 95?
Yes.
Okay.
95,
You feel deserted on there. I was alone in my little Volkswagen Bug. I thought, oh, God, please get me there. Don't break down. So now...
It's a friendly place. If you broke down, don't worry.
So you taught kindergarten the whole 44 years?
No.
What did you do?
Okay, let me tell you about my illustrator.
Oh, good.
Remember?
Oh, yeah.
How did I get my illustrator?
Yeah.
His name is Sam White. He's from Providence.
Yeah.
I put a write-up up on freelance.com and Thumbtack.
Okay.
I wanted an illustrator that I have a lot of friends who are artists, and I knew that I can't work really professionally with a friend.
Yeah.
You've got to keep that kind of. So I wanted somebody I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so I put the ad up on just wrote up a little blurb about what the book was about. The next morning I had 29 hits in my email from people all over the world. And even a couple of guys contacted me and begged to do the book. And I also have friends who have done a lot of children's books, and their best advice is try to get someone local if you can.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to work with them, you've got to get on the same page. So many people had hired illustrators and it didn't work out, so they had to just scrap all of that work.
Could you meet up with him?
I did. We
Good.
met up regularly. Yeah. Yes.
She right in the back of the book. She'll tell you all about it. Her illustrator. Also, of course, on the top you've got Etta. And when I first saw this picture of you at the fair, I said, "This does not do Etta justice." Oh my God!
Thank you.
Suffice it to say, but now, so Sam, he lives in Rhode Island.
He lives in Rhode Island. He lives in Cranston, which was about a half an hour from where I am.
Not too bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So we would meet halfway. He was the perfect guy. Yeah. So I narrowed it down to about 10 illustrators. Or went to their websites. People contacted me and said, "Here's my work. Take a look." So I checked all that out and narrowed it down to 10 and sent them 4 stories. Yeah. Just picked 4 out of this book and said, "You choose one and give me a little sketch of how you how you would interpret my story." Yeah. And Sam drew the picture on the front page, the cover. Oh. That was just a black and white sketch. Okay. And sent that, and I'm like, so I took all 10 of responses that I got and I laid them out, and this was my favorite. But I wanted to see what kids said about it, so I put it out for my grandchildren, who ranged at the time from 14 to 4. Yeah. And let them look, and every single one of them chose him.
This is the one.
This is the one.
And it wasn't even in color yet.
No. Well, yes, it was. He did do it in color. He is he works digitally, directly. Sure. That was another plus. I knew that would speed it up because we just had a few months to my target date. Yeah. And he committed to meeting my schedule. I had a schedule all made. I mean, these are just things that, as a teacher, I learned if you're going to finish a project, you have to back it up and develop all those.
Do illustrators charge a fair price? I've heard of in New York and Boston. It's horrendous.
You know what? I believe in paying for what you want. Yeah. It was a lot of money to illustrate that.
Well, look what he did.
And yes, it was worth it.
Look at all the reviews for this book on the back. If you borrow or buy her book. But speaking of buying, how can they get a hold of your book, Etta?
Well, you can buy it on Amazon. You can buy it from Stillwater Press. I have it in bookstores all over Rhode Island. And you can also buy it from my website, Zasloff.com. And you can get a signed copy from my website. That's the only place, unless you see me in person.
We need to get you over up the street. Westboro's 8 minutes up the road. Tatnut Bookseller. They love authors. I've even spoken in a big room. You can have the room all to yourself, or you can sit up near the checkout desk and say hello to people and whatever. I've seen many authors over there. They love authors. I mean, there's some places around here that love authors. Yeah. I want to just read the back a little bit for our viewers. Beginning with X's and O's is an alphabet book for all ages. This is really great. The rhyming. Rhyming verse tells the whimsical tale of the development of the alphabet, one letter at a time. Excuse me. The O's are the first to experience life-altering events and change their shapes, and the rounds are born. Then come the first straights who evolve from the X's, and the saga continues. But it's almost like genius. Are you good at, have you always been a poet?
No. Actually, it was written in prose to begin with. Yeah. And when I started, when I made the commitment to it, to really zero in on the manuscript, and I put it out for reading to my friends and people, and even a couple of editors that I didn't know. Yeah. One of my friends came back and said, "I don't know what it is about this story, but it kind of reminds me of Shel Silverstein. Yeah. Have you ever thought about writing it in verse?" Because I was trying to pare it down to a 32-page picture book, which you noticed it's 68 pages.
That's okay. It's still skinny.
It was impossible to do it in 32 pages. Yeah. So that's another thing that makes it different from a typical children's book. I broke all the rules.
but that's the way to do it. No. So this came out when?
Last November 2017.
Okay, so it's been out, just over a year.
Just over a year.
Just over a year.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I met you, it had been out.
It was a year old.
About a year.
Yeah.
Did a lot of people stop by your booth? How can you avoid it? It was fantastic.
I did. I did very well there.
Yeah.
You
did the right thing.
A lot of people, if they touch the book, they buy the book.
Yes.
So, I have to get it out there.
Oh, yeah. Well, as soon as I saw her and I got it right, well, I've still got it. Her business card or bookmark, I'm like, yes, definitely. Now, I know you don't want to be just, an author all the time, but do you have anything else coming up? Something different?
I'm not planning on publishing another book at this time. I'm not ruling it out, but I don't really have an idea, and I'm not working on that. I'm doing a lot of volunteer work now.
Where do you volunteer?
In the community. I'm on the board for Hop Arts, which is an art organization in my community that sponsors an open studio trail. So I'm an at-large member, and mostly what I'm helping them do is they've just received recently 501c3 status, so they were looking for some help to become more organized. They've done the trail for 13 years, kind of on a shoestring and just barely getting it up there.
Yeah. So they kind of got a grant, right, in a way? Or
no, they use the fees from the artists to promote it, but they want to establish it as a community fixture or a community organization that lasts. Yeah. So I'm doing a lot of development work for them and helping just write the things down that they need. They needed a writer. Artists don't usually write. They, do creative stuff.
They must have thought they hit gold when you joined them.
So, one of the artists came to me and said, "We need you, Etta.
Yeah.
We need your skills."
Yeah.
And
no kidding.
And that's the kind of stuff I love doing, really. I did a lot of that kind of stuff in my career as a teacher. Yeah. You asked me about being a kindergarten teacher all those years. First 10 years, kindergarten. Yeah. Then I taught elementary school, 4th and 5th grade.
Well, that's
for a
little bit rougher than... Yeah.
Then I became a middle school counselor for 18 years. What did you think about that? I loved it.
You did? Okay.
And then when I moved to Rhode Island, I worked 10 years at Cherhoe Middle as a classroom teacher and taught ancient history and English.
Oh my God.
So it was a broad career, but it was fun. I like change.
Yeah,
I like change.
That's
I don't
a good
like
thing.
To stay in the same place all
You'd
the time.
You'd be surprised how many people don't like change. I like it too.
Yes. After I left kindergarten at the end of 10 years, I said, you know what? That's going to be my limit in any spot. And I did break that rule and stayed 13 years in one of my counseling positions, but I moved on. I had to move on after a while you get just stagnant in the same thing.
So I hate the word retire, when you decided to choose another way to go, did it come to you right off with things that you've been wanting to do? Or did it just kind of take
It's definitely a transition, and that's a lot of what I write about now too, is ageism and the whole retirement scene, baby boomers, the effect we have.
Even the Gen Xers are right behind us.
Yes. Another organization that I'm closely involved with is the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute at URI. It's called the OLLI. It's a lifelong learning institute.
This is one of the letters in here, Ollie. Remember the O?
Oh, well, yes, but that was from 40 years ago. It wasn't from this Ollie. But I teach technology classes there, helping, people who... It's a 50-plus education nonprofit that is affiliated with the university. Like, it's under the umbrella of the university. We have... Our classrooms are there.
Where is that located?
At URI, University of Rhode Island.
In Providence?
No, it's in Kingston.
Okay.
Kingston.
Right.
So it's close to me.
Yeah.
And I'm very enmeshed in that group too.
Yeah.
We do a digital drop-in once a month. And
you help them learn how to do computers.
Yeah, not just computers. How to use their cell phones, how to use their iPads, how to do whatever. And if I don't know how to do it, that's great, because then I have to learn how to do it to teach them. This month we're doing one on security, how to manage your passwords and keep your... Because that's the big fear among our age group is putting your stuff on the internet. They think that everybody can see it all at once, or everybody's going to steal their stuff. So yeah, that takes a lot of work. Yeah, I've done that before, and it's always well received. And
So you're doing that volunteering, the art place volunteering. Anything else? My God, you're loaded. And what? Keep going.
I'm involved at my church too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're at your church too.
I'm on the communications committee and do a lot of technology things through my church.
You're busy.
But it all works together.
Yeah.
And I've learned, it's kept me current with new applications, new things I'm learning all the time. So it's very invigorating. It's not, I don't see it like work.
No, I was a volunteer. You know our big UMass Memorial Medical Center in Worcester?
Yes.
I was a volunteer there for, 5 or 6 years. One on a patient family advisory council for like 5 years, and then I was another year as the greeter. I mean, it's a huge, humongous. So they have an Ask Me program. Mm-hmm. So right in the entrance, they have this like booth, not booth, but what do you call podium? And it says, Ask Me, because people get lost.
Yeah.
Well, I could tell you how many men would come up to me and say, "Ask you what?" And then what do you know the numbers for the lottery? I'm like, no. Some people I had to walk them, because they had no clue what I was telling about. But you know what? It can be a lot of fun. I like medical stuff.
Yeah.
As long as I'm not, seeing anything gross. I love to help people, and like in the children's place, the happy clan, the happy people. That's the kind of thing I like to do. I bet you're good at that too.
Well, that's the key that I've learned from doing all this research on ageism, is doing what it is that you're interested in, and also learning something new at the same time, or creating something new. Yeah. If you're creating and learning, and you're in the field that you like. Yeah. Personally, I hate hospitals. I wouldn't go close to them. No.
I used to have a phobia till I went to UMass.
I'm a school person. Turn me loose in a school. I could do anything in a school, but I'm just not into
I can watch surgery online.
Oh, no. I don't like blood. I don't like any of that. Yes. Yeah. So, but that's very interesting, because a lot of times people, step back in retirement when they hit that wonderful stage, and they think that it is supposed to be a life of leisure, and that's going to make you happy.
Boring.
I never thought that. I always said, okay, what is going to keep me alive here? So that's why I do the things I do. But again, they're all things I love doing.
Were your parents like this? Because mine were too. They just didn't. My father, I don't think he retired until he was almost 80. I don't know.
No, my parents were much more traditional. Yeah. They thought the retirement was sit down and relax.
That's my grandparents.
Well, my parents traveled a lot, but they didn't really get involved with the stuff.
Have you traveled a lot, Etta?
I've traveled all over the United States.
Oh, wow.
I'm going on a trip to Morocco in February. That's my first international trip.
Are you going alone or with friends?
No, I'm going with some friends.
How long, a week or two?
Two weeks.
Girl, you are brave.
So I'm very excited about that.
Etta, tell them again how they can get your book, beginning with X's and O's.
Okay. You can get a signed copy on my website, ettazasloff.com. It's also listed on Amazon, and from Stillwater Press, which is a publishing company in Rhode Island. If you Google it, you can find it.
Yes, Steve Porter has been on with us a number of times.
Yes.
Yeah, we saw him also at the expo. How many, aren't there 200 or 300 and somebody numbers of authors who belong to that Rhode Island group?
We have over 300.
Oh, they're going to hang them from the rafters.
And that's the active number, and all of those are not ones who've been there forever.
Yeah.
That's like every time we have a meeting once a month, which, by the way, is the most well-organized organization I've ever been in.
Yeah.
Every time we meet, there are new members there. Every single month. And we don't solicit them. They find us.
They find you.
Yeah.
I could believe, what I like, too, about it, all the age groups. I loved it. We had some maybe young people in their 20s writing. Fantasy's big with the young ones now. My son's age. They love all that stuff. But and then there were going up to people who have written, adults who have written maybe sci-fi or horror, mysteries, this type of thing. a lot of them. I mean, we've had a tsunami of authors since I've been to it. It's going to get even more so because we get backed up. You got to start putting them ahead.
Right.
I'm thinking about your wonderful ideal there about people when they hit, I don't know what the magic age is, 70, well, I don't know. But not to just say that's the end. What really interests me, and you're getting the word out about that, because you are the poster person for it, right? Right?
I don't know if I'm the poster person, but
really, I mean, that's really cool because I haven't heard anybody yet do that. It's been on the show who zeroes in on, now look, what do you love to do? You may have 30 years left, for God's sake, or more.
Exactly.
That's serious.
yes.
If you look at the obituaries, 100 and some, 90 something. It's not our grandparents' world.
No.
No. What do you think about that? I mean, that get the word out about what you're thinking.
Well, if I write anything else, it'll be along those lines.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God, you'd be a hit at.
Yes.
Oh well, I know all the senior centers. You'd be, even at the assisted living or the people who are residential retired. There's that word. There are so many out there that want to hear this. They think, oh, geez, our apartment's down the hall from so-and-so, and they're just sitting there watching TV all day. I mean, I don't know.
The day or the week I retired, and I was like, going through this transition and loving it. I was so exhilarated by all this free time, but it's like, what am I going to do? And so I was doing some reading on it, some books and stuff. And one of the suggestions was experience silence and just let that silence speak to you. Yeah. And they said, turn off your TV for a week.
Oh.
And I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. Because I always had the news in the background. That was a news junkie. But I committed to that, and I turned it off for a whole week, and I have never turned it back on.
What? How long ago was this?
2014.
I've
even cut the cord on the cable. I do have a Roku TV for when my kids come, and I watch an occasional Netflix movie or series if that seems to be the buzz and everybody's talking about it, and I get curious.
How about radio? You got to have a radio.
I am a big radio
talk
fan.
show, radio talk.
I love radio talk.
I grew up around that.
POTUS 124 independent radio is what I listen to for the news.
Do you ever listen to WBZ at night? Out of Boston?
I don't at night. At night, I'm quiet. I just like.
You're
like the
you're
silence.
an early bird in the morning and a night and not a night owl.
Not really.
I'm your direct opposite. I'm reading till 1 or 2 in the morning, and then
as soon as I open my book to read at night, I'm asleep. I have to read during the day.
Well, we were talking with a wonderful author, and she's not just a children's author, but she has the book out, Beginning with X's and O's, The Evolution of the Alphabet. And if you want to share with your little ones, what age group do you think?
It targets 6 to 9 year olds.
Okay, 6 to 9. That's right.
But older kids enjoy it too, and it's humorous. If you can read that without laughing out loud, it's quite a chore.
And the letters are characters.
Yes, the letters are personified and speak and have experiences. That's what changes them. The O is bitten by a shark and becomes a C.
Well, Etta,
that's the first one.
This has been a lot of pleasure. Now, we probably will have you back on again, maybe when your new ideas take fruition, right?
Okay,
She is a woman of many talents. Stop by the Upton Library if you're in the area, or even if you're not. Come on up here and grab a copy of her book. And once again, before we sign off, how can they get your book?
It's on Amazon. You can get a signed copy from my website, etazasloff.com, or from Stillwater Publications in Pawtucket, Rhode Island.
Now what are you going to do when you leave? You're going to go right back to Hope Valley?
I might go up to that bookstore that you're talking about.
Tatnuck in Westboro. I know the event planner, and we'll talk. Okay,
Yeah.
We'll see you next time on Be My Guest.